attendez, parce que je me... Attendez, parce qu'il y a mon aide-soignant qui est pas... Est-ce que vous pouvez m'aider? Ouais, voilà. Parce que c'est de... Ah non,
visiblement, ça ne marche pas. Ah ouais. Père Patrick, vous n'avez pas perdu la main?
Est-ce que vous pouvez couper le... Ah!
On va regarder un sujet sur la...
I don't know how many years on this earth I got left. I'm gonna get real weird with it.
Hey, Dad!
Don't judge me, this is art!
It looks like he may commit suicide. Suicide is badass.
Put a chicken in, make her gay!
What the fuck is that? Bigfoot. Oh man, look at him.
Come on, you motherfucker! Oh, shit! God damn it! Same shit, different day!
One last thing. If you have any drugs or any alcohol, give me some.
Yeah, like Frank said, I don't know how many years I have left on this earth, but I'm gonna get real weird with it.
Well, what can you do? What else can you do? Everything else sucks.
Best way to live.
25.
We have the Dixon R. The almighty, the all wise, the Dixon R.
Yep.
No, my last stream, I got my first donation from how do you say the name? Kitty Mora Kitty. That's a hell of a name. I like that name.
Yeah, it is. It's unique.
So I'm thankful for that. I'm grateful for that. So I doubt she's watching or listening, but yeah, I'm very grateful for what even pennies, even, you know.
Oh, you'll be like Ryan.
A few dollars don't make nobody any difference. It's the sentiment, you know. It means you know, that I guess they give a shit, right?
Yeah. It's the sentiment, you know. But you'll be like Ryan grift, shaking his penny box.
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay. Fuck out, everybody getting quiet at once. Fuck talk. I'm trying to put shit together here.
Well, Phoenix, say something.
Yeah, how have you been doing here lately?
Okay, that's going so nowhere quick. Daxon R, he's got us covered. Look at this shit. Y'all have a good New Year.
Well, we're alive.
It was pretty good. We had a little bit of get together.
Yeah, we had a get together, and I was like, I pulled out my phone to like see if it hit New Year yet, right? Because people like to, you know, watch the clock, and I'm like, oh fuck, it just passed while we were talking about weird sex shit.
Yeah, that shit got real weird.
It started off by this motherfucker that was in the room talking about how he liked to get his asshole eaten out, and I was making fun of him.
Oh.
And I'm not gonna go further, but the conversation went further, and I looked at the clock, and I'm like, oh fuck, this is how I bring in the New Year.
Yeah, well, you know, I wish I hadn't heard that conversation, but I did. I was trying my best to tune it out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
this
What a
was
way.
a straight man saying this shit.
What a
yeah,
way to bring in the new year.
yeah, well,
Okay, talking about bringing the new year. Let's see what I got brought up here. I'm getting to it. Last night, the Capitol building, the Washington Monument, and the Empire State Building were all struck by lightning.
okay, God is mad. That's that what can you say? God is pissed off at these things.
If you're having just one, you run off with a coincidence, even two, but three, people always say three is a pattern.
And we have the long-winded John Richards in our chat, the problematic
Hi.
white guy.
But yeah, that stream earlier was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. But yeah,
Oh, yeah,
3 strikes. That's weird.
reality-based, the penny
Yeah.
shaker,
Yeah.
the spear chucker, the penny shaker is like, what was that on? Was it Game of Thrones or something? It was one of those where they had like 1 billion titles.
Oh yeah. I think it was. But this is just it's got to say something about the coming year when all of the official buildings like the White House and the Empire State Building and all that stuff was struck by lightning. So, yeah, I don't think it's a coincidence either. Not to mention all the people getting ran over at Christmas gatherings and stuff.
Even if you're not religious, you're gonna look at that and be like, yeah, somebody's upset somehow. Either that or they're testing some weird experimental shit. We also have Sergeant Giratina in our
Hi,
chat.
Sarge. What if they
Happy
are?
New Year and Happy New Year to you as well.
What if they are testing means to control the weather and stuff like that?
I honestly think if indeed they've done that, they've by far done it, and they wouldn't be bothered to test it in a public display like this. That's just my take on it.
Yeah, you do have a good point. But they are known for not using all of the neurons in their brain to create things like this. So they do it over and over and over again until something sticks. So
Oh yeah. No, John here, he is very informative on a lot of matters. He says HARP, HARPP, has existed for years, and I take he's referring to the weather control devices and such.
But I think also it just goes to show that somebody upstairs ain't happy.
Well, I myself get sick of the money worship. I mean, it's not just that. It's like we have an unspoken caste system. Do you understand what I mean by caste system?
Yeah.
If you're like in different societies and different time frames, if your last name was this, you belonged in the low class and you were treated as such. And how the fuck is it different now?
It's not really any different. Not really.
Not just in the Capitol, but fuck on YouTube it's that way. It's like everyone is put into a caste. And I kind of wonder if that is passed down from school behavior. Public schools teach them to be that way. I have to wonder if it's passed down from that.
I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Well, in schools, the teachers was just as bad as the students were about that. They had their picks. And if you weren't part of their preferred group of kids, you were screwed. And that's just the way it was. It was
I guess these days you literally get screwed by a teacher. It's like, I'll be a good boy, I promise.
Oh no. I don't even want to
Yeah,
think
he's
about
got
that.
good phrasing for it here. Mean girl click training. And I believe it starts in school and, maybe some other places, but primarily in school. And it is passed on up to the highest rings of society. And then it trickles down, like diarrhea from the top.
You have some very colorful ways of putting things, Noise.
No, it's just brown. Maybe a little green.
Sometimes it's not brown. I'm sure. I guess it depends on what you eat. I guess.
Okay. Let's see what else is in the news. The Tesla Cybertruck explosion outside of Trump Tower, Trump International Hotel in Las Vegas on New Year's Day is now being investigated as a possible act of terrorist attack.
Okay.
And they go here. Thanks, Joe Biden. No one is safe under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris.
I caught that.
What?
I caught what you did.
Look, you shouldn't be catching shit like that. I mean, really.
I caught what you did there. But I've said this before, and I will say it again. What is it about Christmas and New Year's that brings out all the crazy people? Let's see, there was Germany and New Orleans and this and was it in New York? Somewhere. It's happening all over the place.
I'm gonna be a cowboy all of a sudden.
A cowboy
no fucking
from
reason.
hell.
I'm
A cowboy,
a cowboy
from
now.
hell. No, you're no.
Okay, so lightning struck these buildings. I doubt that's a terrorist attack unless it's terrorists who have devised the way of doing as such, and it's a demonstration. He's going in a lurker mode, like don't show anything. He's watching from the shadows. Fucking pervert peeper.
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
I have to ask, was there anybody in the truck?
I don't know. I don't think there's that much information on it yet.
Because that would be just plain out weird if the thing drove itself there and then blew up.
It's entirely possible. I mean, I don't know how automated these Cybertrucks are, if they have the ability to self-drive. I mean, if they have this retrieve ability like some Teslas do, it's possible for them to be reprogrammed to drive to a location.
And I guess if you wanted to do something like a terrorist attack, Cybertruck, you can't hardly put those batteries out when they catch on fire like that. Like they'll burn for hours underwater.
Oh.
Well, that's a powerful explosion and not diarrhea.
Copy.
That's insane.
These things, they have multiple batteries. They networked 18650 batteries, like hundreds of them. I can imagine many of them are exploding individually.
Yeah.
Well, it almost sounds like fireworks.
Well, it looks like that's in the day, isn't it? So I wouldn't think people would shoot fireworks in the day.
That also entails that it wasn't an explosive device put in there, but rather its own batteries doing it. It entails that it's not necessarily the case.
Just heard a boom.
Oh my God. I heard that boom too, but I didn't know it was actually outside. I thought it was a person in the hallway. Holy shit.
And they say those fires burn hot, a lot hotter than normal fires too.
Yeah, they can't be put out by standard means. There's been cases of people's electric cars going up, and the fire department would empty their truck and still couldn't put it out.
Yeah, I've seen videos where they fully submerge the electric car in the water and it's still burning.
I get back wherever the hell I was.
Well, you know, sometimes it pays to look into the conspiracy theories because sometimes there's some truth in it.
There's also a terrorist attack in New Orleans. And the oddity there is they came in going, we do not believe this is a terrorist attack. Oh, first it was a city or state official saying it's a terrorist attack. Then the FBI comes and goes, this is not a terrorist attack. Here's the thing. They had an ISIS flag flying from their truck. And I'll get more into that.
This is not a terrorist event. What it is right now is their improvised explosive devices that was found. And we are working on confirming if it's a viable device or not. As Chief Kirkpatrick said, we're asking everyone to stay away from Bourbon Street, specifically from Canal Street to St. Anne. That is my ask. Once again, stay away from Bourbon Street, Canal Street, all the way to St. Anne until we can figure out what is going on. Our goal is to provide you additional information at the 11 a.m. press conference. Thank you so much, and we will be in touch.
Yes, I will say that we want our community and our visitors to continue enjoying. There's so much to enjoy about New Orleans, and we are going to make sure that our routes in the Superdome are safe today for the game. And yet we had this tragic event, and we're sorry again to everyone in our community. But we do want you to go about the day.
Now, how can it be? I haven't even gotten into the actual attack yet, but what they're reporting on it. But how can it be there's so many foreigners, oftentimes waving flags, trying to take out crowds of Americans, and they're going, this isn't a problem. It's not terrorism.
That's the very definition of terrorism. That's the definition of it.
The whole thing is just crazy.
And they believe they had accomplices.
Oh no, it's not terrorists. Oh no.
So here's the moment. Here's the moment it started.
What the fuck? I died this fucking died.
There's the truck. I don't know what the coat, the jacket is there for, but I believe that was where the flag was.
Yeah.
It was being waved from there.
Okay. Is it a Toyota truck? I bet it is.
You know, I can't even tell. Why? What does that matter?
Because most of the time they use those Toyota trucks and Nissan trucks and stuff like that for their attacks. Why, I don't know, but
10 killed, 35 injured as truck slams into crowd in New Orleans. Why is it all these vehicles slamming into crowds, running them over? What is that? It's got to be coordinated. It happened in Germany. It happened in I can't even recall, but it happened in several places in America. It's been happening a few places, in at least a few places all over the world in this last week, in this last, I don't know, 4 days even. And this is not a coordinated terrorist attack.
Well, I have a theory on that, and I've said it before, but I think that they're targeting Christians and the major Christian holiday. That's what I think.
Hey, everything we cover won't be this grim. I'm just, attacking this first.
And the thing is the way the police just say, "Oh, it's not a terrorist attack. Come on and enjoy the city."
And they aimed for possibly the most popular place in New Orleans, Bourbon Street, which I've been down Bourbon Street.
Yeah.
This was the driver.
Oh, but of course.
Shamsuddin Jabbar. I don't know. Did I just summon a demon saying that shit?
You better stop or you will.
Shamsuddin Jabbar. Allah Akbar. Fuck, I don't know. I don't even know.
Okay. I don't know, but
I've been told
something's going on to where they think it's okay to do this stuff.
Oh, to me, it seems like somebody, like they coordinated, like word got out to all of them, like, now is the time we're going to attack, and this is how we're going to attack. If you bring together all the stories over the last week of vehicles plowing into crowds in the most popular areas in bigger cities, it's been a lot of them, a whole hell of a lot of them in this last week.
Yeah,
coordinated.
It's almost like they're sleeper cells or something.
We have the Purple Dragon, Levistro.
Hi, Levistro. Happy New Year.
Hola, holo, hi, Enyo. I'm not multilingual. Lingual. Fuck, I can barely speak English.
Well, you don't just sit there and grunt. I mean,
what's the topic at this very moment? It's all the attacks that's happened over the last week of vehicles plowing into crowds, and they all have been foreigners. And this particular one, this one that happened today, was flying an ISIS flag, and his name was Shamsuddin Jabbar, something along those lines. And Happy New Year's to you as well.
I can't even with these people. I swear. I mean, it's like I said before. It's like they're all sleeper cells or something, and somebody woke them up all of a sudden.
Okay, so since Christmas, or maybe a couple days before then, but especially since Christmas, there was an attack in Germany that made big news where they mowed down a crowd of people and killed multiple people, and it was a foreigner. A few have happened in America. I don't have them like category list or anything, but there have been several attacks over this last week of foreigners mowing down crowds of people in a vehicle. And I can't help but think it's not just a coincidence.
Well,
and particularly around Christmas gatherings.
Yeah.
And it almost feels like, to me, it's an attack on Christians, and in particular, white Christians.
Yeah. Because, I mean, one video showed them burning the Christmas tree and all that stuff. So, I mean, anybody with a logical mind would come to that conclusion.
Vistro says people remember the towers, but not the subway bombs the FBI and the NYCPD found as well over the following weeks. That he's absolutely right on that.
Yeah.
And in my own personal opinion, I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theorist, but it's just a hypothesis. We are under a mass attack. And I'm not telling anybody what to believe out there. It's just my own hypothesis, which is subject to change, that we are under a mass attack by possibly ISIS, possibly more, but it seems to me like a coordinated attack. Now, it's not the best method of attack, but these people, many of them anyway, are grown. They're raised in preparation to give their life, and they find it an honor. So this may be the starting of their bigger attacks. This is their opening act, possibly.
Well, you know what I find interesting? All this stuff happened after Trump got nominated to be president, and the immigrants were going back over the border. It had the immigrant buses that were coming up from Mexico going back into Mexico and that kind of thing for a while. So I'm wondering if those two things are connected.
It could be. It's definitely a strange coincidence.
Yeah, I mean, well, that leads on into a whole nother thing about immigration. And yeah, that's a whole nother can of worms. And it's all ugly, every bit of it. But yeah, this feels like a coordinated attack, a coordinated literal terrorist attack. And with the word terrorist getting thrown around so much these days, I mean, kind of like that case against Smash JT where they're calling him a terrorist.
They're calling him a terrorist. Oh my God.
Oh yeah, she's the Murky Comp Beast is including terrorism in her lawsuit.
He could get sent to the federal prison for that.
They're trying to set precedents is what they're doing.
Yeah, they're trying to make him an example. So people like us will shut the hell up and not say anything, and they can do whatever in the hell they want to.
Yeah, I still hope he comes.
This next bit here. Yeah, I'll get to it. I'm just reading the comments here.
But yeah, I mean,
I don't want to ignore the audience, the chat, because that's what we're here for.
But yeah, I mean, that's why they're doing it, is so everybody else will toe the line and never speak out against the LGBTQ community, and them jackasses can do what in the hell they want to. And I, for one, am not going to shut up about it, because the whole thing is god awful, and it needs to have a leash on it before it gets so out of control we can't stop it anymore. But that's just my feelings on it.
Listro has a good grasp on this. We have been fighting Islam since Jefferson administration. It's in the Marine song, The Shores of Tripoli, hence the origin of the term leathernecks. And it continues here. The Marines wore leather collars to protect them from being decapitated by Barbary pirates during those sea battles.
This is very true. And if you wanted to get really technical with it, the war on terrorism went on back to the Crusades, because they were going, they were going over there for the Holy Grail and all that stuff. And then a bunch of, they got to where they hated them and all that stuff. So they would go over and try to fight Europe. And then it just became a whole big mess. Well, I think that
well, there's not just the whole political aspects. It's a holy war for them.
Yeah.
So, you got to consider that.
It is a holy war for them, I think.
Now, this next bit of news is not terrorism, but in a sense it is. These, I don't know, I take it they're together, these young people, possibly teenagers, I don't know.
Did I see that right? Oh my God.
So yeah, I believe they were together, and they caught one of them. Probably the one that did the pushing. Well, they should have got all of them. The man actually survived, but is in critical care, critical shape, condition, however you want to phrase it. I don't see how he survived.
I don't either. He got squished.
Maybe he just got his legs or something.
Hey, Levistro has something to add to what you were saying. Okay, I'll read it. Actually, the Crusades was a I don't know how to say this word up. Byzantine campaign to reclaim Roman lands. The Catholic Church was asked to help with getting support for the empire that founded them as a state religion.
This is also true.
History is not my strong suit, so I don't really have anything to add on it. Okay, well, these I take it teenagers, so I don't think it states it, but they came in, one pushed a man, you might as well say to his death. I mean, I doubt he's gonna make it. They charged this black boy with attempted murder.
Okay.
What the hell possessed people to be this way?
I don't know, but okay, I think the way it works, I mean, I'm not 100% sure, is it's like attempted murder, but then if the person dies, it's just murder.
Yeah,
I
that's how it
think.
works. Pretty sure that's how it
Well,
works.
yeah, I would imagine so, but I honestly don't see the man making it. I mean, he fell in front of a moving subway train, or rather was shoved in front of one.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see how he's going to live either. And that's awful. What is wrong with people?
World's getting crazier and crazier.
I just don't understand what gets in these people's minds to where they think that human life is expendable like this. You know, it speaks a lot to a lot of people's psyche to where they think that human life is very expendable and it means nothing.
Okay, I believe those I don't know, I guess you could call it news of the day, grim news of the day. I spent too much time on it already, so I'm moving on to something not as grim. Here we have Marvel's What If. We've watched a few episodes of that, right?
Yeah.
Well, it says Marvel's What If season 3 is unwatchable trash, and they give examples. Marvel's What If season 3 is everything wrong with the MCU. It's unwatchable trash. So the Hulk undergoes therapy, which I will state in the comic book he has actually done that, but this is done with an agenda in mind. So keep that in mind. The Hulk undergoes therapy. Fake Captain America, Sam Wilson, you know, the Blackton America, you know, the Falcon America.
Yeah.
Fake Captain America is his counselor. So the Hulk is like talking to the Falcon, and the Falcon is his counselor. That makes absolutely no sense at all.
It's this threat, Dr. Simpson, I think his name was.
Yeah. All right. The life lesson of the episode is that the greatest heroes are those who accept us as we really are. Get the point? I mean, it may be kind of hidden, kind of vague there. I will say that. It's kind of vague there, but it's Disney and Marvel doing what they usually do and rigging up stories in a way that they never were meant to be in order to do it. Because, okay, it's what if. It is what if, so it is a stretch of the imagination, but it doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense.
Captain America doesn't have a psychology degree, does he? I mean, in the comic book, right?
You mean the Falcon? but no, I don't believe either of them do. Next episode is about Agatha. Why? Who asked for this character? It's a horrendous episode. It's Hollywood meets Bollywood. Yes, it really is. With another character and movie no one gives two shits about. I don't think they give one shit about. She needs to conduct a ritual and she's using Hollywood to do it. Well, the ritual isn't big enough or some shit, so she gets Kingo, I don't know who that is, to star in her movie. There's some kind of Bollywood dance off. Yes, this is really in the show. Agatha ends up having a fist fight with a celestial in space and wins. A celestial is godlike. They're bigger than planets and they control the destiny of the universe, essentially.
Yeah. Kind of like,
Of course, if anybody in chat has correcting info on that, feel free to say so.
would Galactus be considered a celestial?
I think he's one of the weaker ones. Like he's extremely powerful, but for a celestial, he's weaker than others.
Yeah, I believe he would be weaker than a celestial.
Okay.
Okay, and then it goes on. So Darcy from the Thor movies is into bestiality and has a child with Howard the Duck.
What? How?
They have a child named Birdie, who is original to the MCU and voiced by Natasha Lyonne of Orange is the New Black fame. Okay, to be fair, right off, ew, fuck that, hell no. But to be fair, in the 1980s Howard the Duck movie, they had a lot of flirtation between the duck and the human. But to follow through with it really brings things to a whole nother level of creepy.
Yeah.
Ew.
I imagine they just did that for like a comedic effect in the movie, but this looks like on this one they're going more for a romantic thing, which is even worse.
This looks like they're going for it to be like a serious kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Well, it is in What If. So in the What If series, they're more likely to take chances. But in today's society of sickos, you might could have hinted at it and joked about it back then. But in today's society of sickos, where people are carrying out in reality such acts, you don't even want to float such an idea.
Oh, we're gonna have to worry about the chickens, aren't we? Oh man, I don't understand people. I just don't. I really don't. I just don't get it.
Marvel's just getting worse and worse. Everything they put out.
Here, what we have, I don't know if I agree with this. I'm not entirely clear on what's happening here. It says, new Captain America 4 TV spot calls for one symbol that stands for all. Is Marvel trying to appeal to conservative audiences? I don't think I've seen the trailer, but I highly doubt they are. For that matter, why would conservatives be for one symbol that, rules them all or stands for all?
So is that like an equality thing? Everybody's equal.
I think they're trying to say like America's that symbol, maybe. Yeah. The latest Captain America TV spot emphasizes that Sam Wilson, incarnation of the iconic hero, is one symbol that stands for all. So he himself is the one symbol, Captain America. Many see this as Marvel Studios attempting a strategic pivot to regain conservative audiences who have felt alienated by the company's recent foray into identity politics.
Where are you reading that from?
Wait, let me bring it up. You're just sitting there making me look stupid. I don't even have the page up. You should have said something. Okay. That's where I'm reading it from.
Okay.
It's magic.
Stop it.
So on the Howard the Duck thing here, Levistro says, I always saw it like an alien interspecies thing anamorphic humanoids, but there's a difference between that and, say, an animal on its hind legs. That really does cross into a lot of areas, you know, how the duck who looks like a duck and so on.
Yeah.
It also brings me back to that. I'd made a video on it quite a while back, the Human Torch, and they had this love scene with this squishy alien looking thing.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it still made me feel like it crossed into the bounds and territory of bestiality. It still gave that vibe to me.
Yeah. Yeah. But, you
Anyway,
know,
back to Blacked in America. The show previously engaged with themes such as merit of open borders, which some viewers criticize as an endorsement of leftist ideologies. The new TV spot suggests that Marvel is responding to these criticisms, aiming to create content that is less divisive in the wake of Donald Trump's re-election. So they think before conservatives seen it and was like, "Ew, no," which I'm sure they were. I'm sure they did, right? So they're taking it. They're trying to unite the conservatives. I don't know. I mean, even if they are, I don't think that they're biting.
no,
I mean,
I don't
first of
think
all,
so.
you took Captain America, who was alive in the 1940s, and and supposedly fought the World War II mustache man, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, let's swap him with a black person. And now they're like, let's get them on board. Okay, it's not like all conservatives hate blacks, but right off the bat, you switched out the real symbol, the real person, and yes, I know Captain America is not a real person, but character-wise, story-wise.
Well, I think that Captain America, when he was created, it was a symbol for everybody that went to fight over in Germany in the 40s. That was their symbol, or one of them anyway. And it's an icon. It was an iconic thing.
Well, yeah, so how are they going to get the conservatives over? Like, we need the conservatives to watch this movie. Well, then why did you get rid of Captain America?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this to me is not Captain America. It's just somebody that threw the suit on.
For that matter, it could be argued that, it has the Red Hulk. And in this particular storyline of the movie, it is the president who turns into a red raging beast. And that could be presumed to be an analogy to Trump.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it doesn't take a big stretch of the imagination to see that's kind of where they were going, I think.
With a release date set for February 14th, the film has already undergone 4 rounds of reshoots, leading to a significant budget overruns that some analysts believe could push the production cost near $500 million mark. $500 million. This could save starving nations.
Good Lord, that's a lot of money. That's just insane.
I don't feel comfortable putting that much money in any one thing.
And it kind of says what I just said here. Many see political commentary in the film having the president of the United States taking an antagonistic role against the black Captain America and turn into a giant red rage monster. So, is what I said. It's an analogy for Trump fighting the black Captain America because black man represents America.
Oh,
Crazy.
These people are just insane.
Vistro says American conservatives see things in symbolisms. It's not they see a black guy, it's they don't see the symbol because the suit doesn't make the man. In this case, his actions do.
Yeah.
The first problem is they know there was a white Captain America. And many of them loosely know his story. Secondly, they know how liberalism is pushing the black man on everything now. And anytime a black man is forefront going, he's the star, he's the hero. And not only that, he represents America. They're going to be like, fuck off.
Well, yeah, that's true. I mean, I think a lot of people are so weary of that kind of thing. They're just sick of seeing it. I mean, people are fatigued from it.
They tried this in the 70s with him, didn't work. The reason Steve worked was he served with his power against the weak and became that symbol. Yeah, it's like, yeah, we know some of the actions Captain America's taken, and the reason he became Captain America, he volunteered. But what do we know about Falcon America? He's a black man that flies around with metal wings. Anybody?
I know. I'm trying to remember. I was trying to remember, and I don't remember anything, honestly.
Even the original Captain America
should have just stayed Falcon.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, if you have to change your black character and replace one of your white characters with the black character, he must not have been a very good character to begin with.
Yeah.
But the thing that's worse than this is when they took Thor and turned him into a woman. Now, in what universe does that make any sense?
They didn't literally turn him into a woman, but what they did was they took his title, not only his title, but his name. They took his name and it's like, that's not your name anymore, motherfucker. Now it belongs to a woman and your power. And it's like, but she's mortal. What did she do to earn it? You know, it was such a high level of nonsense.
Yeah,
It was.
that's what I mean. I mean, they took a god, a demigod, basically, and said, okay, you don't have any of this stuff that you've had for centuries, and we're giving it to her. So, you know, and it just doesn't. I wish they'd quit doing this stuff with these characters that everybody has known for generations and grew up reading and everything else. I just wish they'd quit doing that.
Yes, now any color replacement, any gender swap won't be seen as natural. This is why Miles Morales is called Spider-Man in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, yet is called Miles Morales because Miles doesn't sell. Yes, they took to call him, they were like, this is the Spider-Man now, this black Mexican, you know, Mexican black mix, right? And he's young and he's hip and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, anytime they're pushing this equality crap on you know, different races, different genders, and so on, it's going to be automatically rejected. And that's why they quit calling him Spider-Man. And they're like, well, we can still make money off of him. Let's just call him Miles Morales.
Yeah.
Somebody needs to fire all them people.
Fire?
Yeah. Well, I was trying to be nice.
On to the next topic here. Steam Replay 2024 reveals only 15% of total playtime spent on new releases. New release is supposed to be the hot new shit and everybody's playing it, right? So that number should be way up. It's not. Steam's Replay 2024, which was previously called Year in Review, revealed that just 15% of total playtime across the entire service was spent on new releases. It also compares your data to all Steam users. For classic releases, time spent hit 37% of all time spent on Steam. For recent, it was 47%. And for new, it was only 15%, which means that's probably an all-time low ever for new games. New games were barely touched.
Well, gee, I wonder why.
And I'm like, fuck yeah.
Yep.
Okay, it was Groms, an ex WoW developer who called for us not to play new releases, and I'm like, I'm all for that. You know, I don't care if it cripples the game industry. We have to stop this rot.
Yeah, I think so too, because it's just going to get worse if somebody don't do something. It's gotten way out of control as it is.
A lot of these big well-known companies are gonna go down under in the next, say, 5-10 years. And we're gonna start seeing new companies start coming up.
Many of these companies have already fallen, but they're still following suit. Look at The Witcher 4 with Ciri. Look at Intergalactic with the black bald woman who doesn't know how to use an electric razor. The question is how does she get bald if she's holding the razor backwards all the time?
That was the silliest thing I'd ever seen.
Producer Mark Alexis Cote, I guess, noted during a fireside keynote at the External Development Summit in October that developers are not only competing against other studios, but they are competing against their own back catalog. That there is some truth in that, but that's kind of an excuse. That's kind of saying, no, it's not the woke stuff. It's not that we're gender swapping and race swapping and making girl bosses. It's the back catalog. They got all these other games they haven't played yet, so they're not buying our new games. It's a bullshit excuse.
It really is.
Well, I think that I'm glad to see people are playing older games versus the new stuff. Maybe finally, the gaming industry will get the damn idea that people does not want this stuff in the games and quit doing it. You know, it will take some time, but I think that maybe if it keeps on going like it is, that maybe that will happen. And I hope it does.
Furthermore, and I had mentioned this part already, but furthermore, former World of Warcraft team leader Mark Kern, aka Grums, called for a moratorium on all AAA woke games earlier this year. He posted in April calling on all gamers not to buy AAA titles for the next 2 years that do this. Play your Steam backlog, you will send a very clear message, and apparently not. Yes, the companies are going broke and they're going under and they're laying people off, but they're not understanding why still. He added, Lara Croft did nothing wrong and does not need fixing. The Witcher, Geralt Gillette, where the fuck is his name? You know, he didn't do anything. I don't know. He might have done a lot wrong. I remember playing The Witcher 3. That motherfucker was brutal. But he still doesn't need fixing.
Oh, but I mean, the woke gaming industry is like a bunch of rats standing on the very top of the Titanic, watching it go down, hoping they can save the ship with cheese they're throwing overboard. It's futile. You know, it's just futile.
I'm going to send a very, very subtle message to the chat and future chat and potential chat. Very subtle now, you know.
Me! Choose me! Love me!
What the hell did I just see?
And share and donate. I do have somewhere floating around. I have a link that you can donate to.
I am very, I don't know.
Choose me.
I'm very confused. Oh my goodness.
I can't think of any game that came out this year from any of the big companies that I really want to buy and try.
Not everyone followed Grome's advice, but there was an article recently where some studios are waking up to it. However, games today are made in 2020, and this is from Levistro, and he is absolutely right. He's quite knowledgeable, actually. I mean, Daxonar, you know, the great Dixonar, he's always helpful, always knowledgeable. He's helped me a lot during my streams. And here I come to find out Levistro is quite fucking knowledgeable himself.
Well, I would take it that making a game is a lot like making a movie. It takes a few years for them to make that game and then release it. So, you know, it shouldn't really be that way. I mean,
well, yeah, I think they're too big. You know, some of these games have had $500 million, B with billion, to be made, and years of time. These games are entirely too big. If it is taking all of that, it doesn't need to be.
I mean,
Yeah, exactly.
I can remember.
Look, we're happy to have you here at any time. And I try to visit your streams every once in a while as well. We need to stick together and support each other. All of us.
That is very true.
Okay. You were saying, or both of you, one of you?
I can remember back when games didn't take that. I mean, they took like a year or two, maybe, but it did not take that long to make, and they were a lot more fun.
Well, you know, it was like I was watching Levistro play, I think it was Batman Arkham Origins. I think that's what it's called, right? And I'm looking at this game going, this looks just as good as anything today for the most part. There's some subtle differences, but for the most part, it looks just as good as anything today. And I doubt it took that much money and that much time as what the crap they're putting out today.
Yeah.
Well, now they're putting out stuff like Dustborn and all that kind of garbage.
Yeah, it's a bunch of shaded stuff. You know, they use, well, clearly they're more reliant on software than they've ever been, but, you know, it's kind of like, okay, tap the light pen to the screen, and now let's put a stripe in it, and now it's blended. And it's like, oh, fuck that. Put some real art, you know, put some real colors, inkus, like classic ones in there, and that shit's gonna shine like everything.
Yeah, real.
Well, that's like
And
the new.
for that matter, they stylize everything part Disney, part anime. And it's like, what are you making this shit for? 4-year-olds?
Well, that's kind of goes into what I was about to say. The new Spider-Man trailer that we did a video on earlier, that looks like it was made for a little kid's coloring book. And I don't know. I just tend to think that even children are more, they gravitate more to the art instead of, if it's all blended, it all looks the same, you know?
Now that you mentioned that, I think they are aiming for as young as possible when they make this bright, you know, badly gradient blended crap there, and, you know, cartoony style. They are aiming for young as possible because they want to convert them, adapt them. They want them to buy into the ideology. So yeah, I do think they're aiming for as young as possible. But I would dare say, now this is just my own opinion, and that's it. But I would dare say the mass majority of gamers are 20 to 30 something.
Yeah, it seems like it these days. Yeah.
Well, the thing is for me to when you have a young kid like that and they're just getting into cartoons and art and that kind of stuff, those are the first memories that they have of those characters. So when they get older,
Levistro has a point here. The devs who made them, and he's talking about older games such as The Witcher 3, the devs who made them are gone, and they chose the lazy and unqualified to replace them and canceled those in power to claim their jobs. And he's right. They're taking these brainwashed college kids who, you know, they don't realize they're kids. They think they're adults. They're all sassy and arrogant and full of themselves, self-righteous and so on, right? Fresh out of college, and they're like, feminism, down with the blah, blah, down with everything, right? So, and they're sticking them in there as like, well, we got to make them happy, give them incentives. So they're like, first of all, don't hire white people, you know, and so on. And these people are underqualified, no experience. You know, it's like he said, he quite well summarized it there.
You know, I find myself more likely to play these indie games that no one ever really talks about too much, and these new ones that come out nowadays.
It says here, I actually disagree. Corpos are desperate for money. They think Fortnite is popular for its art style. You add semi-realism to Fortnite, it will still be popular. That is because the market target and mechanics are the same.
I didn't think about it like that. Okay.
Well, let's say they make it cutesy. Yes, the 20 and 30-something-year-olds will still buy it and play it. But it will also appeal to the little ones, and they will also be begging their parents for the money for it. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
For that matter, modern men have been pandered to in ways maybe I'm phrasing this wrong. They've been fed such baby shit for so long, they've gotten to like it and expect it. And they'll look at Fortnite and go, oh, that's some hot shit. And I'm like, are you a fucking baby?
Yeah.
You know? And this may insult people, but it's just my own opinion. There's people who look at cutesy anime girls and go, ooh, that's so hot. And I'm like, no, give me a real fucking woman, because I've been in the game for decades, and that's the only thing that really does it for me. I think modern men need to learn to get out there and get real women again. Now, I do understand that modern women just aren't worth a fuck. I do understand that. But I don't think it's impossible either.
Well, these days you can hardly tell the real women from the Transformers. Sometimes it's hard to tell.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to move on to my next article here.
Oh, no.
Look at this. Hey, I like my big titty anime fantasy. If it does it for you, great. Just do not forego the real thing if you can possibly get it.
So they're making a Black Superman movie?
Oh, yeah. Okay. I'll get into this. J.J. Abrams, you know, he did the newer Star Trek. He's known for putting the light flare effects in it and all such. J.J. Abrams' Black Superman movie still alive despite violent, racist backlash. Warner Brothers won't let it die after a $500 million mega deal. Yeah, the racists are stopping it. Yeah, okay.
Oh.
Back in 2021, the director had announced a Black Superman movie to be in development over at Warner Brothers. 3 years later, we may not have any updates about it, but we do know that the Black Superman movie is fighting with everything it has got. Superman stole my bike.
I just, oh.
It was a part of a $500 million mega deal between the director and Warner Brothers. So many dicks did he suck to get a deal like that?
I don't even want to know.
Amidst reports that J.J. Abrams' deal with Warner Brothers has been dropped to very low levels, Variety alleges that Black Superman project is still alive, breathing, and fighting every day for its survival. They must have found a new blower. Having a Black Superman project came with its own sort of problems for the Star Trek director, too. From trolls to racist comments, the project is quite the challenge, but former Superman actor Henry Cavill had the best say. But first of all, I got to say, there may be some racists out there that are getting in trouble. I don't know, but I have no doubt most of them are like, leave Superman the fuck alone. Just leave him alone. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, I mean, they're iconic superheroes for a reason. If you change the icon, this completely kills the point.
Yeah, if they want a iconic Black hero, make one. Henry Cavill said Superman's far more than skin color. Superman is an idea. Superman's an extraordinary thing that lives within our hearts, and he's right. That's why he's iconic. Unfortunately, that phrase, that saying there, that quote, can be taken either way. They're kind of like, well, he lives within our hearts. He can be any color we want. They could take it like that, or you could take it like, why change anything? You know, it's the idea that stands. So that when they say he said it best, I don't agree, because that could be taken either way. That's kind of a non-answer.
Yeah, it really is.
Well, I think I would have said something to the effect of Superman, like Captain America, is an iconic character for a reason. You can't just take these iconic characters and change them so drastically and expect a good welcoming from the public. It just don't work like that. So
Levi-Strauss here basically saying while he likes his anime, he has no problem with the women. He's been all over the globe in uniform. So yeah, the army. So it seems he does really well for himself.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought Steel was supposed to be Black Superman.
Yeah.
Steel. He's referring to the character Steel. There's a, unless I'm mistaken, it was in the 90s with the death of Superman and a bunch of fake Supermen popped up. And okay, in that latest incarnation on TV, was it Superman and Lois?
Yeah.
Is that what it's called? Anybody?
Oh yeah, it was Superman and Lois.
Okay, the black man in the suit of armor, right? That was kind of a reiteration of the character. It wasn't exactly the same, but it was, I believe he's, for the most part, speaking of that character.
Well,
and here he has another point. I thought Static Shock was an iconic Black superhero. He put a shock to your system. And that character was he was Black, and the whole thing was very Black coded. And yeah, I mean, they can make Black heroes. Why do they have to keep changing white people? Now, it's like I was on a reality based earlier, and somebody said it's not race swapped, it's race replacement. And they are absolutely right. They hit the nail on the head with that.
Yeah. He's
also correct here. There was a Steel movie in the 90s too, and it was a shit movie, but I do remember it.
I think it was the early 2000s, there was a Static Shock TV show. I used to watch that as a kid, and I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I remember that. It seems Daxonar also enjoyed Static Shock. Oh, you two can keep talking. I'm looking over things here.
Another iconic, to me, it was iconic. Another iconic Black character was Spawn and Blade. Those two.
Spawn was a Black character, but they rarely showed his face. Also, in the storyline, he made a deal with the devil or whatever the powers that be was, to come back and show his face. But they're like, okay, but we're gonna make it white.
Yeah, I know. Blade was extremely popular there for a long time. Like he was one of the first big comic book movies that got popular.
Yeah, Wesley Snipes in the Blade movies. I think they say he was a nightmare to work with, and I believe it. But those were some great movies. I mean, they weren't like the best movies ever, but they were up there. They were good.
Yeah. No, they got a Luke Cage. That was okay. I didn't quite get into that series too much, but it was okay. The Luke Cage one.
Okay, they brought out Luke Cage and Iron Fist at the same time. In the comics, those two were often paired. There was a comic called Heroes for Hire, and it would be those two characters together. And
Yeah, I like that.
but I don't remember that Jessica Jones being part of the mix. But then again, I wasn't really into Heroes for Hire, that comic.
I
I
know. I
never
like that.
cared for Jessica Jones.
Me either. It's just her attitude really ruined the show to me.
She was a smart ass bitch through the whole TV show. It was like,
Yeah.
they went out of their way to make her unlikable.
Yeah, I just didn't like her. I just really didn't like her.
Okay. Levistro says Blade is problematic because he culturally appropriated Japan with his swords. Now not a problem, but his language is so offensive for the Wokies. This whole cultural appropriation thing, I think that's a load of shit. It's nonsense. I mean, every culture takes from another culture. I mean, where would we be without the Native Americans setting a lot of ways in this country?
I know.
I mean, go ahead.
It used to be a sign of respect to learn someone else's culture and be active in it. Showing respect to them by doing it. Now it's cultural appropriation.
He points out here that he's being sarcastic, but I wouldn't be least bit surprised if they did say that, or somebody floated that idea. It's like, we can't have them using those swords.
They said that about the Iron Fist character.
We have in the chat Cyfax, and Happy New Year to you as well.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, didn't they say this?
I see Cyfax around often. He gets around. I see him on different channels. So he seems to be a rising name in the community.
Didn't they
All right,
also
go ahead. What were
raise
you
a
saying?
big? Didn't they also raise a big fuss about the Iron Fist because he wasn't Asian?
Yes,
too?
they did. And for that matter, Marvel's already swapped him out for an Asian person. Just like Doctor Strange. They're like both of those characters are, what was the word? Cultural appropriation or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Well, that was kind of the whole concept to begin with. Like, Doctor Strange went up the mountainside, his hands were messed up, and he was trying to change his life or whatever, and he wanted to learn the ancient ways. It was more or less, that was the story. And so he learned these ancient mysticism from the East. What's wrong with that? Really, what's wrong with that? I mean, if anything, isn't that a sign of respect, like Phoenix was saying?
Yeah. And the funny thing is, when that Doctor Strange movie first came out, they changed his mentor from a Asian old man to I think she's like a Caucasian white woman.
Yeah. And Levistro points out here, I want OG Ghost Rider, OG not Mexican wannabe, not cowboy, OG Johnny Blaze. And yes, Ghost Rider's been through many incarnations, but the latest is like, I don't know if they've changed it by now, but at one point he had like headphones he pulled out and whipped people with, and he rode around in a car. And it was some other nonsense that went along with it, trying to modernize it. And he was Mexican.
Yeah.
You know, forced diversity, essentially.
Yeah.
I always liked Ghost Rider, but I never knew a whole lot about the character.
That's not respecting their culture. That's pandering.
But I really like the Ghost Rider. I think it's the fact that he goes around and he makes people pay penance and stuff like. It's a really good story, I think. I also like what was his name? I can't remember now. Oh, never mind, it went away. The thought I had went away, so we'll have to move on to something else.
Okay, now I'm gonna ease into the next topic. I'm getting there. CD Projekt Red claims The Witcher 4 will tackle a woman's struggle in a medieval world.
Oh,
A woman's struggle in a medieval world was getting that food ready and getting those clothes scrubbed and that kind of thing, really. And I highly doubt they're going to have Ciri doing those things.
A woman's struggle in a medieval world.
And no, I'm not being sexist here. That was literally a woman's struggle then. That and trying not to, get forcefully taken, to use soft language about it. The Witcher 4 director claims that using Ciri as their main protagonist will allow the team to explore the specific struggle of a female monster hunter in a medieval world. But is medieval sexism something anyone was asking for in a fantasy RPG heading into 2025?
Yeah, I don't think anybody was asking for that.
Here we go. Taking the weevils out of the bread was pretty high on the list.
Well,
and we got another one. To be fair, birthing babies is a struggle, and yeah, no doubt about that.
That is very true. But I doubt that it would go into that much detail.
Yeah, make a game, The Bitcher, and it's actually about a medieval woman having to do these things.
Oh, that's wrong. That's just wrong.
But what's catching the most attention is how the developers at CD Projekt Red have seemingly confirmed the plan to use Ciri's storyline to explore sexism and gender politics in medieval-inspired world of The Witcher. What has gotten into their heads that makes them think we want video games about sex and gender politics?
The bubble that they're in says that that's what everybody wants.
They're probably reading all these game journalists and stuff like that, getting in their head from that.
Oh yeah, like he's saying here, somebody will make a mod where Ciri's like having to take out the weevils and scrub the clothes and birth the babies.
Well, I mean, if they really wanted to get into it, they would get into the fact that a lot of the women back then was in charge of medicines, a lot of the medicines in the rural communities and stuff like that, and birthing all the animals and the children and taking care of the home and all that kind of stuff. But I doubt they'd get into all that.
There have been people on the internet, streamers and such, going about, oh, they made her ugly, and I don't really follow that. I mean, yeah, they aged her up a little bit, and they're like, oh, they gave her a big jawline. It's like, it's not enough to really say anything about, in my own opinion.
Yeah.
But what the fuck do I know? I live in Alabama. The outlet asked, this was Eurogamer asking, I believe, the developers of the game. The outlet asked, the experience of a woman is actively quite a significant theme in The Witcher in a lot of different forms. The women of this world are subjected to a lot of violence. They're heavily sexualized in different ways. Watching the trailer, it seemed to maybe channel this. There's Siri, a woman trying and failing to save another woman from more of this universe's violence, right? Is that an intentional theme that you were channeling with this trailer? Now, I'm not reading the entire thing. That's a lot to read, but I'm just trying to hit on some key points. And they answered. And I think some of those questions might be going into this direction as well, because, yeah, Siri is a woman, and as a Witcher in this world, this is an unusual state. So I don't think it's going to be this story everywhere. But since this is part of the world, and we want to tackle so many of those different themes, it's definitely also going to appear there as well. So, yeah, they're definitely going to make it about sexism and probably her getting forced upon by men and possibly women. Like, anyone wants to play a video game about that crap.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't want to see any of that.
So, their response, in essence, was a lot of double speak, but still roughly answered the question.
I just don't want to see any of that.
Okay, there is the argument of like, I forget what it's called. Phoenix might know. They go through the trial of ashes or something like that.
Yes, I think that's what it's called.
Grasses.
Yeah,
grasses.
That's what it is. Yeah, grasses.
I've played Witcher 3, but I'm not real familiar with all the lore. But supposedly, everything points to a woman wouldn't be able to survive it. So out of nowhere, they're like, yeah, she's a Witcher now. She went through that. And not only that, they made this game without consulting the original author, which he sold his rights. But still, you know, if you want to be lore accurate and respectful, you consult the original author of the story.
Yeah.
I mean, The Witcher to me seemed like a more masculine, male-oriented thing to begin with. So it's just strange how they could make the jump. Like you said, a female wouldn't hold up to the trial, would she?
From everything I've been told, and again, I'm not super familiar with the lore myself, but from everything I've seen on the internet and everything I've been told, a woman wouldn't be able to survive it. It takes the strongest of men to survive it, and very few do, to my understanding. So it would make sense that a woman wouldn't.
Yeah, plus, he's already supposed to have an extreme power from, I think they called it the source. I forget how it all goes, but basically,
yeah, she was like
she's connected like a powerful witch or something from a long time ago.
Yeah,
like reincarnation.
In essence, she was like the most powerful witch out there, or something along those lines.
Yeah.
Now, if you're familiar with how she looked in The Witcher 3 or the TV show, she has a broader face now. But women with age, and I don't know how much they aged her by, but women often don't age like many men do. They it's by science, they retain more fat. So they aged her up in this, and there are a lot of people's like, oh, they ruined her, and it's like, no, I don't think it's really nothing. I mean, really. But getting past that, lore-wise, they wrecked the hell out of her.
Well, just because you're a witch does not mean you would be a witcher. There's a big difference. I would think anyway.
Okay. Levistro says here, I totally want to play as a woman with a chip on her shoulder with something to prove and be insufferable about it. That's why I stream Velgard and others. Oh, wait. No, I didn't. I was told Trial of Grasses was symbolism for how most military selected recruits, only 1% of them passed the best of the best of the best of the generation.
Okay,
Now, I would
so
have to know the lore better, but you know, like is it something they ingest? Is it brutal on their body? You know, I'd have to, before I come to my own solid conclusion, I would have to know the lore better.
Yeah, it's partly something they ingest, and they use magic and a few other things like training, and it basically it mutates them, turns them into mutants, makes them tougher, stronger, but it kills just about anyone that goes through it.
I can see it. She walks in. I'm ready for the trial of grasses. She bends over and she's like, "Whip me harder, Daddy."
oh God.
Okay. In the books, she does train as a witcher, but if I remember right, doesn't fully do it, but she ends up being way more powerful anyway, and that's in the books, but not the game.
She goes through the physical training, but not the mutation.
Now that imagery is just stuck in my head. And it's like, we've tried everything. She will not break.
Oh, she won't break, will she? Well, somebody needs to go get Big Shirley.
I don't know the lore, but an army buddy of mine was a huge Witcher nerd, books, games, and all. I can only imagine how he feels about Ciri now.
I've read most of the books, but I didn't get real interested in them, so I don't remember most of it. Just didn't grab my attention.
Well, you know, they could have. This doesn't seem to fit for me. You know, it seems like a big stretch of the imagination. And I mean, according to what
here's
others
the
have said
thing.
and stuff.
This surprised no one. They're introducing it. They're putting it out there like, oh, look what we've done. Aren't you all so shocked? Aren't you excited for the new Witcher? And it's kind of like everybody's like, but of course that's what they were gonna do. That's what everyone's doing. We expected this much, and we were all ready to slap it down. We were waiting for it. It doesn't matter how you excuse it away, even if you make the story great somehow. We knew you were bringing this bullshit to our doorstep, and we don't want it.
Yeah, I was really hoping they'd make it where you could make your own character.
Yeah.
That would have been a good idea. I mean, you could have chose who you wanted to play.
She was trained by witchers and magic users, but her elfin blood made it impossible for her to be fully trained in either. It was meant to aid her in controlling her elder magic, as it was explained to him. Okay. Recent AAA launches suggest that modern deisms and overtly feminist angles might be wearing thin on audience. That's a nicer way of saying what I was just saying. We were waiting for it. We were expecting it. You brought a bag of dog shit to our doorstep, and we don't want it.
Yeah, it's the gift that nobody wants.
CD Projekt Red's approach may create headlines initially, but numbers could indicate that it often alienates core players seeking to lose themselves in a rich fantasy or sci-fi realm where they can take a break from debating societal issues. Yes, we hear this shit everywhere. It's in our TV shows now. It's in games now. It's on the news now. It's infecting our neighbors. You can't go out without running into it. We just want some good old-fashioned escapism.
Yeah, maybe a good fantasy story, maybe even a feel-good one, which is rare these days.
But to be fair, if they did bring out The Witcher 4 and she was bent over going, "Spank me, daddy," I would still be making a video bitching about it, because I don't want that overt kind of shit in my face either.
True. I remember when gaming companies were more focused on story arcs and fantasy worlds than this. You know,
I got something like the Dark Crystal. That had a good story, looked good, and everybody could get into it.
So his complaint is why reduce her to a witcher? Why even a magic user? She has the potential to be so much more than both. He has a point. There's many ways you could look at this. The way I look at it is originally she was a good character and she doesn't have to be set down to a hard role and like she's a this or a that. She had the strength of character originally to carry her on.
And she could travel dimensions, and I don't remember if she could travel time or not, but yeah, she was extremely powerful.
they just crippled her basically.
If The Witcher 4 simply goes the route whatever, of gritty feminist commentary, recent gaming history suggests that no amount of brand power will stop the player base from walking away. I think a good many have already walked away before they even get it out the door.
All this is just bad business. You know, all this woke stuff is just bad for business.
Oh, this comment. Oh, hell yeah, I didn't expect anything else because who the fuck cares if there are beast, evil forces, etc. We need to talk about the fucking patriarchy and the lack of tampons in the hole in the middle of nowhere that people use to call bathrooms. No wonder the Witcher 3 devs are out. Holy shit. This people are so disgusting. Hope it flops bad. That comment about the patriarchy, the lack of tampons. That's a good one.
Yeah.
CDPR, cross-dressing pervert retards. These comments, some of them are gold.
Oh, I gotta remember that.
Here's the thing. I used to really like the company. I thought it was gonna be, CD Projekt Red. I thought they were gonna be a mainstay, like back in the day in the 80s and 90s, like Capcom and Konami and these, when they made good games. I thought CD Projekt Red was gonna be that. Something I haven't covered, but they're also trying to erase the male identity from Cyberpunk. What do they call them? V. That you can pick a male or female, but they're both called V, right? Well, they promoted the game with a male V, and then after a couple of years, they completely wiped that. And any reference going forward is based off the female V.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's with CD Projekt Red. I think it's the feminism appeal. She can't have kids. That's why Witcher. Having kids is bad. My ex is Korean. She came here, was told she didn't need to have kids, and left me with Dragonlink. So now I guess that's part 1 of 2 messages. Yeah, it's bad. I mean, in some other countries, you still get women with classic values, and they come to America and they get absolutely ruined. So now you know my problem with feminism. There's no greater honor than birthing and raising the doctors and heroes of the world. That's why moms are the pinnacle of female careers to me. And he is right. There can be no great men without great mothers.
Well, what a lot of these
great women make great mothers. So great people without great mothers.
Well, what a lot of these woke jackasses don't realize, and they'll bash women for choosing to stay home and raise their children and keep a home and all that stuff. That job is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year.
It's not like working in a coal mine or a steel mill. But, you're looking after a delicate human life, one that is like seems pre-programmed to off itself.
Little.
It's up there. It's one of the most difficult jobs anyone can have, and especially to do it correctly. It's not just about when they're babies either. You know, as they grow older and through their different stages of stupidity, and you're having to fight against this stupidity every step of the way and hope some of it gets through, you know? So yeah, I mean, if you consider it doesn't really end when they're not kids anymore either. So yeah, it is one of the most difficult jobs ever.
And just the same being a father is too. You know, it takes both. It takes both the parents to raise well-rounded, happy children. Because it's the home environment should be one where it's a safe haven against all that craziness that they have to deal with every day when they go to school or whatever.
And it's more true than ever that there's no reason that a father can't do all the same stuff that a mother can, except for breastfeed and shit. Even today they have where men can strap on some fake tits to breastfeed their kids, but that's a bit much. But you get my point.
Yeah.
Must have been hell. It says, tell my mom, do you know how difficult it was to raise a dragon? Yeah, well, my mother raised a devil. Actually, she raised a bunch of devils.
Yeah.
Like, okay, people watching me, they're like, oh, it's just another streamer. He's a dumbass, blah, blah, blah. He's just, you know, another one of those. And it's like, this is what you see of me. This is what I put forward. This is not me. This is not by a stretch, not by a long shot, not by any reach of the imagination. You're not seeing me.
Well,
and some of you can attest to that.
Oh yeah. I know you can be hell on wheels. I know you can be hell on wheels. I've seen you be hell on wheels. So I know.
I've got stories that you wouldn't believe, that literally you would not believe. But I'm not here for all that.
Yeah.
Now, we all talk about, it looks like Sergeant's headed out. Thanks for coming by.
Bye, Sarge.
You're always welcome, and thank you for all the support, and Happy New Year's. Okay, we all speak against in any way we can. We fight against for the umbrella term, wokeism in video games. But the rot goes so much deeper than that. I mean, for one, it's going into the very software that make the video games. For that matter, the programmers who come out of college that they're hiring, of course, there's them, but in the very software, whether it be Apple, Windows, or Linux, it's being heavily infested with wokeism. And there's somebody who speaks on that, Lunduk. I'm a fan of his, a follower of his. I'm going to play a video of him speaking on it. And I'm going to add my own commentary to it.
Employees of some of the biggest tech companies on earth, Google, Apple, Microsoft, and Intel, are now actively speaking out against the discrimination that they and others faced while at those big tech giants. This is not something entirely new. The Lunduk Journal has been covering the massive anti-white, anti-male, and sometimes anti-Asian discrimination that many of these big tech companies employ. What is new and interesting is how comfortable many current and former employees are now feeling in openly speaking out against some of the crazy, crazy racist discrimination and sexist discrimination that Google, Apple, and others are employing within their organizations. I'm going to run you through just a couple of them that appeared just over the last 12 hours or so. This is quite a few. This one from Sean McGuire posted this over on X. Quote, I was told I can't be promoted for being a white man explicitly at Google. Now, Sean McGuire isn't some random run-of-the-mill guy. This isn't some anonymous dude. He's a partner at Sequoia Capital, heavily involved in investments in SpaceX and a whole lot of other companies. So this is him coming out and saying this is kind of a big deal. And then there's this gentleman who is a, quote, senior director from Intel Corporation, retired. He retired from Intel a few years ago. Quote, this is from Russell. And at Intel Corporation, we restricted hiring white males unless approved at a senior VP level. And that was 10 years ago. Imagine what it's like now. Seriously. So if you wanted to hire a white male at an upper VP level at Intel, you had to get approval, not extra approval, not because of it being a VP position, but because it was a white guy. That's crazy. Here's one from a gentleman named Levi Thomason. Quote, I was told I'd love to hire you, but unfortunately, you're a white male. This was at Microsoft. Said in honesty as they were forced to take non-whites first. Now, who is Levi Thomason? Well, he's a principal software architect at Microsoft and has been for almost the last 7 years. So the fact that he feels comfortable speaking out about this, it shows a dramatic shift in the public narrative and in what's happening with inside these companies. Here's
I think you're still muted.
Okay, so far, did anybody take in any of that? What he was just saying on there?
Yeah, I did. So even 10 years ago, they still wouldn't hire someone if they're white without approval from the top people.
Yeah, people have been speaking out against this kind of thing for a long time, but over the last 3 or so years, more people are speaking out. It's getting more attention. Back then, you could say that and they would just call you a nut, a conspiracy theorist. But now it's become more commonplace. More people are speaking out about it. And there's even lawsuits being brought forward against companies for this practice of not hiring men and white people.
Well, I don't understand. If this was reversed, people will be all up in the air about it. But since it's not, since it's against white men, white people in general, nobody cares.
Yeah, and if you speak out against it, there's so many people will just tell you to shut up. You've had your time. And it's like, you're not the one who had so many years of college and now can't get a job.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
or for that matter, you were top position in where you worked, and they fired or demoted you to put some young brown person in your place or some man wearing a dress.
The whole thing is just crazy.
Well, it goes to show that the turning of the public opinion sways more than just the public opinion. It sways a lot of stuff.
Levistro here says, damn that pesky Civil Rights Act of 1964 approved with the GOP majority. It doesn't exclude white people. Now they can sue for racism. And they can. But in today's society, you coming forward as a white person, you're going to have a lot of people against you, but you still do have the word of the law on your side.
I had a thought.
Yeah, go ahead.
What if, okay, say you get done this way and you're a white man. What's to stop you from going, oh, you're white and you're a male, but you're transitioned and all that kind of stuff, just to get the lawsuit going and to get that out of the way. You see what I mean? What's to stop somebody from doing that?
Well, I'm not clear on what you're saying.
Okay, instead, you know how the wokeisms like to discriminate against straight white people? What's to stop a straight white person from just lying about their orientation and all that stuff just to get the lawsuit going?
Well, for one, these companies have billions and billions of dollars and lawyers to investigate every aspect of your life, which is one reason why we don't have more people standing up against them in court.
Yeah, you do have a good point. I mean,
But
you would have to.
I'll let Landu talk here for a couple more minutes.
Here's another one from Dan Held. White males are actively discriminated against in tech. It's an open secret of Silicon Valley. Had a brilliant upper 1% talented friend at Facebook be told, quote, he didn't fit the demographic, end quote, for management. You didn't fit the demographic. You have to have a certain demographic for management. And Dan goes on to say, had another at Airbnb win a $10 million lawsuit for discrimination. Now, who is Dan Held? Well, he used to work at Uber, and he currently is at Asymmetric. Now, these are all people who are speaking out and willing to put their reputations on the line and potentially their employment on the line to speak out against massive anti-white, anti-male, and sometimes anti-Asian discrimination at these big tech companies. Now, here's another one from Andreas Kling. Now, who is Andreas Kling? Well, Andreas Kling used to work at Apple for about half a decade or more, used to also work at Nokia, but you may mostly remember him as the guy who's running and founded the Ladybird web browser project. Andreas says, quote, one of the last meetings I attended before leaving Apple in 2017 was management asking us to, quote, keep the corporate diversity targets in mind, end quote, when interviewing potential new hires. The phrasing was careful, but the implication was pretty clear. I knew in my heart this wasn't wholesome, but I was too scared to rock the boat at the time. And I've heard so many stories of this where people will reach out to me and they'll say, Lunduk, I experienced in a meeting where we were talking about hiring some new candidates, and it was implied very heavily that we needed to not hire a white man for the position, but it wasn't written down in an email, it wasn't in a corporate document, so I don't know what to leak to you, because people try and leak stuff to the Lunduk Journal. I get this regularly. I've heard this from several people at Apple over the years, where Apple is very hesitant to write these policies down, but it is apparently prevalent throughout the organization where they are trying heavily to make sure they hire fewer white people, especially white male. And some of the companies have specific policies along those lines for Asians as well. So people from China or Japan or Korea. Now, again, this is nothing entirely new. The Lunduk Journal has been reporting on this for quite some time. You may remember the instance where Netflix managers, quote, will not hire this white guy because we have too many white people, end quote. That's a quote from a person who used to work at Netflix and is now a fairly prominent YouTuber by the name of Primeagen. And also there's the big story, the IBM and racist whistleblowers, right? All of the leaks that came out of IBM and Red Hat, basically some of the largest tech companies in the world, and in the case of Red Hat, the largest Linux company in the world, where they literally had training. They had training programs and slide decks to teach people how to discriminate against white people.
Okay, so as you heard, they're also doing Chinese people this way, Asians.
Well, are they that afraid of white people and Asian people?
XY is XY even when you chemically castrate yourself. I didn't make biology. Them the rules of science. And he is absolutely correct.
Yeah.
I mean,
okay, now what were you saying?
I'm wondering, are they that afraid of white people and white males and Asian people to do stuff like this?
What I keep asking myself, is it just virtue signaling that hard to the point of essentially ruining lives and tanking the economy? Or is there something more bigger and more sinister behind it? It's what I keep asking myself, and I could come up with all kinds of conclusions, but I'm still no closer to a real answer. And you can never rule out that it's idiocy. Idiocy has, been built within societies overall throughout recorded history. You can't always nail down this is the reason, because sometimes it's just idiocy. It's the fallacy of human beings. So that's another reason why I can't logically nail down a solid answer to why this is happening.
Well, to me, it seems like they're discriminating against specifically straight white males and Asian people in the tech industry and stuff. It seems to me it's like they're challenged by them. They feel threatened. But the $1 million question is why? I mean, if you're good at your job, you're not going to care if somebody's white or black or Asian or whatever, it doesn't matter because you're confident in yourself that you can do the job that you were hired for. Right?
Levistro says the left isn't wrong about one thing. Racism is taught at a young age. They know this from experience. Teach your child your morals and they become it. We are all the product of our parents' morality. My parents, their morality was all over the place. I think their morality was based on survival. They weren't immoral. Not in the time they raised me. They weren't straight immoral, but they had it was kind of all over the place. And if I had to pinpoint why or what it was exactly, is their morals were based on survival.
I still can't get past how he said they have classes to discriminate against white people and all that. That's a classes to teach them how to be racist for the company.
Yes, they have it, and they have it in Red Hat and IBM and Microsoft, all these places. But they also have it in these video game companies that's well documented at this point. They have it in Hollywood. They given time, it's going to trickle down to these grunt factories, you know, with grunt workers. Given time, you will see it there as well. It's in all the big money locations. That's where it's all at. That's where they're teaching sexism and racism and upholding it as a high morality ideology. But yeah, it's real. And I know it's hard to swallow if you haven't witnessed it. And not only witnessed it, but witnessed it in so many instances that you know it's widespread. But it is, and there's people coming forward about it.
Yeah, the whole thing is just crazy all around.
Western civilization did more to contribute to the human progression than all other civilizations. That's why white males are intimidating. America is the product of it, and a strong one. Maybe so. But it seems like now the descendants of it all are trying to tear it down. That's one thing it shows me. It greatly shows me is a lack of disrespect, not only to your ancestors, but your family. It's a family disrespect. Everybody, all the young people, virtually all of them are getting together going, fuck them. Fuck my parents. Fuck them. I won't follow their rules. I won't follow their ways. I won't listen. I won't be like that. It's a great and grave disrespect. And yeah, you got the right idea. Destroy the American ideas, destroy Americanism. You destroy Western civilization itself.
Well, I do believe that while this is a horrible thing, sooner or later it's going to turn back around. And the problem with that,
it may turn back around.
The problem with
again, that, it probably won't in our lifetimes.
Yeah.
I think for all the resources that have been sunk into this ideology, it may take 100 years or more before it finally fully rolls all the way around.
But my point is I think it will turn around eventually. But the problem with that is it's going to turn around too much to where it gets really bad for them if they don't eat themselves in the meantime.
Like, in a sense, flip back around to the 1700s.
Yeah.
The key to America's strength is family. When America faced great change, schools and families were charged with teaching the importance of the Republic and the Western history. It's why we were strong. And he is right. It's probably not the only reason, but it's one of the biggest reasons is sense of family, a family that had a moral code, a family that would teach you when you were doing wrong and set to improve you, to make you stronger. Until the 90s, when it was Culture Month, focused not reading, writing, and arithmetic.
Yeah, I remember the whole Black History Month and all this stuff. And now you get kids that can't even read and they can't write cursive or anything.
Well, yeah, if you talk to the modern day teachers, they're like, oh, I've got 100 students in my class and like 4 of them can read and they can't read proficiently, you know. And they're like, I go to school strapped with a gun because I get threats and jumped on every day. And you know, teacher after teacher, countless teachers are saying this now. I feel like Trump going, they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats, but you know what's fucked up is they really were eating some of them. But anyway, I'm not about to delve in all that. That is what teachers are saying now.
Yeah, the teachers, it's getting bad in school. I've heard some stories out there, and it's getting pretty bad.
Well, I don't know, but
family is being forsaken. And unfortunately, it's becoming the American way to do so. And when you do that, it does break down society, but it also makes less people. There will be less families, less people. Which I think the ultimate goal may be population control, and I think they're slowly succeeding. Did you know by 2nd grade in the 1800s, children read the Constitution? By 9th grade, they had discussions on each. Yeah, actually, the further you go back, I know this from writing. I have dabbled in writing books, that the further you go back, they were masters of the language. They were just so great with the English language. So yeah, I know the further you go back, the more well educated the youth were.
well, back then books were revered. They didn't have all the internet and and social media or anything like that. Books were their entertainment, and it was a way for them to escape the mundane of their existence. So they would reread books over and over and over again until they wore them out. And
Right.
that's where they learned all their language skills and stuff, I imagine.
Well, he says, I don't know. I have a hard time in the past controlling population. Like I said, I'm positive there's more of my draglings out there. Well, they have found a way. It's not unlike the shaming thing. It's kind of like controlling an animal. You have to make them want it or make them think it's their idea. And that's what they have succeeded in doing in society now. By pride and shame, they've made them want it, and on the other side, fear it. You know, it's a system of self-control. They have made them do it themselves. But we're gonna wrap this up now. Any thoughts on 2025?
Well, it better be better than 2024 was, because damn, what a messed up year that was for a lot of people. And I'm ready for some good changes.
Yeah, let's hope it'll be a good year this year.
Well, I, in my heart, believe that 2025 may be the year of the great downfall. I believe a lot of world changes are going to happen that make it harder for all of us. But on the other hand, I hope it will not be. I hope it will be a great change for the better. So, I guess it's just a matter of my heart and my head in an argument there. But thanks for everybody showing up thanks for your support and for what you've all been extremely helpful in chat. And we've had a very nice discourse in chat, and it's time for us to go. Have a happy new year, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
And we're out.
Your feelings can fuck off, you non-binary bitch. Telling everyone we're wrong while you sexualize kids. Keep your pronouns in your pants, this ain't the time or place. Unless you think you can dance, I'll punch that confused face. My pronoun is pimp.